Hi, how you doing? Justin here, and for my first lesson in 2019, I thought I'd share with you this kind of funky little practice concept I've been using for a couple of years, and I figure that some of you might like this idea as well. Now, I call it pick and mix, and basically it came about because there were so many things that I wanted to practice, but I didn't have time to practice everything every day, and I was struggling to manage, like, I'd practice this on this day and this on another day. So basically I took a bag of picks that I had, my little JustinGuitar branded ones, and I wrote down on the back of the pick the things that I needed to work on, and I stuck them in a Vegemite jar, and then basically I pick them out one at a time, and I do 5 minutes practice, unless sometimes on a few picks I've got an extended practice amount for various reasons, but generally it's 5 minutes on the pick, and I take it out and then I stick it into the done jar. So you can see down here I've got my to-do picks, which are the ones that I'm got to work on now that I'm going to pick from. I've got the done jar, which is where I put them when I finished them, and I've got the on hold jar. Now I'm going to go through some of the and share with you some of the things that I've got in my to do jar here, and maybe some of the on hold ones, and there's a big list of them over on the website. So if you go and check out if you're on YouTube, check out the link in the description below. If you're already on my website, you'll see it just scrolling down the page a little bit. There's a list of most of the exercises that I've been working on, and I'm planning on doing lessons on most of these during this year, so hopefully there'll be a new collection of little exercises that you might want to check out. But I just thought I'd kind of give you a bit of a look-see at the idea. So generally, if the lids aren't normally on, I just stuck them on for good measure, but I'll just literally pick a pick out, and this is just completely at random. So this says major scale in fourths. So if I'm doing the major scale in fourths, what that would mean would be for 5 minutes, so I'd hit my practice timer, major scale in fourths. Haven't done this one for a little bit actually, and I haven't warmed up yet today. So my fingers are feeling a bit rusty, and I'd take that through all 5 patterns. So that would be a kind of exercise that I do there for major scales in fourths. Just trying to think of what else I've got. I've got things like funk strumming. Okay, funk strumming would literally be 5 minutes exploring different funk things. I've got things like arpeggios, major sevenths. I've got things like quality notes. Now, quality notes, there's a lesson on the website already. It's basically, I just spend 5 minutes playing very slowly and really trying to make every note sound as amazing as I can, like really think about the tone. Things like octaves, practicing things like, the Wes Montgomery styley sort of stuff. Open G, I'm not going to give you a demo on Open G tuning just now because I'm not in Open G and that would take too much work. Thumb over chords, there's an interesting one again, would be literally just exploring what different chords I can get while holding my thumb down. It's something that I like exploring. A lot of these, well, it mixes up. Sometimes it's a very specific exercise. Other times it's just trying out something. So here's a good example of a very specific exercise called the disappearing metronome trick. That again, there's a lesson on this one, which is basically playing very slowly and carefully with the metronome, but making sure that I'm in time enough and setting the volume of the metronome so that if I play perfectly in time, I can't hear the metronome. But if I slip either and I play too fast or like play ahead or behind, then I hear the metronome click. Here's another great one, vibrato EXP. Now I have quite a lot of these picks with EXP written on, and that's short for experiment. So vibrato experiment. So it's practicing vibrato, but it's also experimenting with it and seeing what different approaches I can find and different ways of playing it. I got here, this is a one that I've been working on a bit lately actually, legato timing in 3. So that would basically be practicing playing legato, probably 3-note string scales, could be pentatonic as well, doing 3 notes per click, so triplet. So I got no metronome to hand, so I use my foot to tap instead. Now I do sometimes, again, I vary what might be on the pick just depending on my mood, because I really want to make sure that these things stay fun and I enjoy doing what it is that I'm practicing. So this one might be sometimes very slow, just really working on my time and making sure that I get the triplets are nice and even and I'm not rushing, or particularly when you're doing lots of flick-offs, sometimes the flick-offs that are easier end up being a bit faster than the ones that are harder, or the fingerings that feel a little bit more difficult get held up kind of thing. So I might just be really working on my timing. Other times I might be working on fluidity of something, like with a minor pentatonic trying to go. So really just trying to push myself into a dabba-dee, and just trying to keep the lines as fluent and moving between different positions and all of that sort of stuff as well. So that's a kind of fun one. There's a legato fours somewhere as well. Things like neck vibrato. I'll just spend 5 minutes just working on, just using this push and pull thing going on the neck. I mean, I've got loads in here. There's like 30 odd things on my practice routine at the moment. Oh, finger tapping explorations. So finger tapping, I mean, I'm not a finger tapper. I'm not a metal guy, but I really enjoy finger tapping. I find it quite a fun little effect. I don't tend to use it much in videos. I am working on a couple of tunes at the moment, writing-wise, and I quite enjoy like the Joe Satriani style two-hand stuff. So that's, I just experiment again with that. Slide guitar, unison bends, just that. Well, I've got so many picks at unison bends. That kind of thing. I still think that's a fun thing for myself to practice. I enjoy it. What else have I got? Legato timing fours. That's the one I mentioned there. So instead of doing triplets, I've been doing 16th notes. Sweep picking, exploring. Again, I'm not really a sweep picker, but I like to try and keep my hand in. Hybrid picking, same sort of concept again. String bending accuracy. I'm still working on string bending and making sure I get it in tune. The current favorite exercise that I'm doing at the moment is trying to play. So really just trying to keep that E note going, semitone bend, tone and a half bend, tone bend, semitone, and then playing the fretted note again. I'm aiming to try and get it to do it as pre-bends, like ghost bends, so you don't hear the bend going up. I can almost get it, but that's something, that's the kind of thing I'm working on. That's string bending accuracy. Groups of 5, so practicing just hippopotamus, like groups of 4 and 3. Working on 5s is something that I find kind of interesting. So there's a few. Oh no, hang on, there's more. There's a few more in the to-do jar at the moment. Economy picking. Got looper. So again, just mainly with looper pedals, I'm just working on setting up a loop. So it's not like jamming with the looper, although sometimes if I'm feeling in a particularly creative mood, I might do something like, creating a soundscapey kind of thing. But it's often just working on trying to get the in and out point so that the loops really smoothly. Sometimes I watch people and it looks so effortless, but I have to really concentrate on making my loops work right. String bending EXP, so string bending experiments. That's I love working on string bending things, like trying to bend a tone and a half and then back, or that kind of, really working on getting little melodies going or whatever within the string bending. I think that's a fun thing. Dynamic accent, so just practicing scales and then accenting every 2, 3, 4, 5 notes, whatever. Again, that's working on your pick control, and arpeggios, dominant sevenths, that's just practicing the 5 position. Volume swells, I wouldn't probably do that on this guitar because it's a bit awkward, but on the Strats and Tele types, it's good. Find melody. Now, this is actually one that I do very often. If you don't do this, I'd recommend. I do this almost every day, so even without the pick. But I just imagine a melody for 5 minutes. I imagine a theme tune or a song or a solo that I know really well, something that I know confidently in my musical mind, and then I try and play it on the guitar and try and move around the guitar neck as much as I can. In fact, there might be more than one lesson on that on the website already. So go and check that out if you want. And again, lessons. There'll be a link in the description of the YouTube video with a list of these lessons, and the ones that I've already got lessons on, they'll be linked up. Arpeggios minor 7, that's a pretty boring one. Arpeggios minor 7 flat 5. Bar breaks. Now, bar breaks is one that you need my metronome app, the Time Trainer metronome app, and basically it plays a metronome beat for 1 bar, and then it stops for 1 bar or 2 bars. So you can set it for how many you like. You might want to have 3 bars of metronome and then 1 bar of stopping when you start out. But basically the idea is that you want to be able to keep playing when the metronome stops and keep yourself in time so that you're still in time when the metronome starts again. That's one that I'll be doing a lesson on very soon, because it's a really great thing to be working on. So that's bar breaks. So you get the idea. So, they all of these just live in this little jar. They sit on my desk, and when it comes time to practice, it varies for me how long I do. At my current kind of practice regime is going to be a half an hour slot. So I'll do 6 picks each day. So I should be able to get through the whole jar. If I get 30 picks in there, I should be able to get through them all in the week. But really important things to remember: it wants to stay fun. What I really don't want to do is get to the point where I pull out a pick and I look at it and I go, oh, really? I don't want to practice that. Sometimes it might be I just don't feel like doing that pick that day. So if I'm feeling particularly creative, I'm really looking for things that are going to help inspire that feeling, not like bring me a downer and go like, oh, really don't fancy practicing scales in fourths today. Other days I don't feel very creatively inspired, and actually doing that kind of scale practice is kind of cool. It's almost, for me, it's a bit meditative, the fact that I can sit there and do this repetitive action over and over again. And, that's... So it depends, and I don't think it's a bad idea to pull a pick and go, yeah, not today, and put it back in. But if that happened a few times and I'm like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this, then I chuck it on hold, because I really think that my life is too short to be practicing stuff that I just really, really don't like or I'm not interested in. So I think that's one of the things that you want to be aware of. Don't just see the things that I've chosen for my picks and try and do the same ones. They might be relevant, in which case great, but really think about the things that you need to work on. If you're a beginner, it might be 1-minute changes between different chords, could be different strumming patterns, it can be finger stretching exercises, it can be there's no limit to this stuff. But I would really recommend that you try and keep it fun, try and keep it varied, and don't be afraid to ditch something if it's not working for you and come back to it later. You don't feel pressured to do it, because I think that that just destroys the whole thing. And do have a go, even for beginners. I would recommend having some EXP, some experiment ones, where for 5 minutes you're just going to experiment with a particular thing, experiment with a chord, experiment with how you hold the pick, or try finger tapping, or it really can be quite a fun motivational practice idea if you want to give yourself some pick and mix in your life. I hope you found this an inspiring little concept that you can incorporate into your own playing. I will be doing plenty of lessons on these very topics and showing you exactly the sort of stuff that I do when I'm practicing these exercises. I'll be live streaming some practice sessions this year as well, so you might want to check out and watch me fumbling around some of these ideas. That might be fun. Do subscribe to my channel if you dig what I do. I really appreciate your support, and I'd love to hit that 1 million subscriber mark this year if I can. So it'd be really appreciated. Hit that like button, leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts on this or other things that you'd like to see lessons on related to this idea or not. And have a wonderful year. I'll see you for more very soon. You take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.